The woman's scream sliced through the quiet Sunday morning like glass. "Hey! Get away from that car!" Her voice echoed through the tree-lined street of Beverly Hills, where mansions hid behind ornate gates and the air smelled faintly of citrus and money. The sun, still climbing, glinted off the hood of her red Ferrari, and for a moment it was hard to tell what shone brighter, the car's metallic paint or her fury. The boy froze. He couldn't have been more than 9. Skinny, barefoot, his t-shirt 2 sizes too big, its cartoon logo faded almost to white. His dark hair stuck to his forehead, and in his hand was a small piece of torn cloth he had been using to gently wipe the dust from the Ferrari's side mirror. I wasn't gonna hurt it," he stammered. The woman stormed down her front steps, robe fluttering behind her. "You think I'm stupid? Do you know how much this costs?" Her high heels clicked sharply against the pavement, each step filled with disbelief that this child had dared to touch her car. The boy took a step back, pressing himself against the curb. It's pretty," he said softly. "I just wanted to see my face in it." That answer stopped her. For a second her anger faltered. The reflection in the Ferrari's mirror caught her own face. Sharp, tense, unrecognizable. "You don't just walk into people's driveways," she snapped, regaining her composure. "Where are your parents?" The boy hesitated. "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know?" He stared at his bare feet, then at the street beyond the hedges. "Mama went to work. I was waiting but she didn't come back yet." Something in his voice, small, careful, rehearsed, sounded too grown up for his age. The woman sighed, glancing up and down the street. "What's your name?" "Eli," he said. "Well, Eli," she muttered, crossing her arms. "You can't just wander around here. This is private property." Eli nodded. "I know. Sorry, ma'am." He turned as if to leave, shoulders drooping. Something tugged at her, an instinct she hadn't felt in years. Maybe guilt. Maybe curiosity. "Wait," she called. "Where do you live?" He pointed down the hill, toward a line of old apartment blocks that seemed out of place amid the marble and glass mansions. "Over there," he said. "Behind the big palm tree." "You came all the way up here alone?" He nodded again. The woman studied him for a moment, then sighed. "Fine. Come on. You look like you haven't eaten. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in people who still step up when the world turns away, take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to see will restore your faith in humanity. We'd love to know, where are you watching from? Comment below with your country and region, and let us celebrate the kindness that connects us all. Let's begin. Inside, her house smelled of fresh coffee and furniture polish. Eli stood awkwardly by the door, eyes darting between the chandeliers and the glossy photographs of her on magazine covers. The woman, Clara Hayes, 43, film producer, part of Hollywood's untouchable circle, set a plate on the marble counter. Pancakes, strawberries, syrup. Eli stared like it was treasure. He hesitated. "Can I really?" She gestured impatiently. "Before it gets cold." He devoured the food, syrup running down his fingers. Clara turned away, pretending to check her phone. Watching him eat made something twist in her chest, a mixture of pity and discomfort. She'd grown used to silence in this house, to the hum of appliances and the clink of crystal glasses. This boy brought the noise of real life back in, raw and unexpected. When he finished, she asked, "How old are you?" 10, he said, though he looked younger. "And your mom, she works where?" "At the diner down the road. Sometimes at night too." Clara frowned. "And she lets you stay home alone?" "She says I'm brave." He smiled faintly. "Sometimes I wait outside for her so she's not scared walking home." Clara leaned on the counter, arms folded. "That's very responsible of you, Eli." He grinned proudly, the missing front tooth making him look even smaller. "Mama says I'll have my own car one day. Maybe not as shiny as yours, but red too. That made her laugh, despite herself. You like cars? He nodded eagerly. When the light hits them, they look alive. Clara found herself strangely reluctant to send him away. She'd never had children. Too busy, too careful, too afraid of the mess they brought. But this boy had shown up like a story she hadn't planned to read and couldn't stop turning the pages of. Does your mom know where you are? She asked. Eli shrugged. Maybe. I left her a note. She frowned again. A note? Yeah, he said proudly. I said I went to see the red bird. The what? He pointed toward the driveway. Your car. It looks like a bird when the sun hits it. Clara blinked, caught off guard by the poetry in that simple phrase. A bird, she repeated, softening. That's something. He smiled, shy but proud of his imagination. Then his eyes darted to a framed photo on the wall. Clara with a man in a tuxedo. Is that your husband? She followed his gaze. The picture was from years ago. Was, she corrected. He's gone. Eli's face fell. He died. She hesitated. Not exactly. He left. The boy nodded solemnly, as if that too was a kind of death he understood. The next day Eli came back. Clara found him sitting cross-legged by the gate, waiting. Eli, she sighed, hands on her hips. You can't just. I brought something, he interrupted, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small, wrinkled drawing. It was done in colored pencil, a red car with wings, soaring over clouds. He'd written in block letters, the bird of fire. I made it for you, he said. Clara took it, her throat tightening. The car's lines were childish but full of movement. She smiled despite herself. It's beautiful, Eli. She grinned. Now your car can really fly. She didn't know what possessed her, but she said, you know, if you're gonna visit, you should at least learn how to wash a car properly. Eli's eyes widened. You mean it? Grab that bucket, she said, pointing to the garage. But careful, if you scratch the paint, I'll sell you to the movies. He laughed. They wouldn't buy me. I'm too small. Over the following weeks, Eli became a fixture in her mornings. He'd show up before breakfast, barefoot or in worn sneakers, and wait until she waved him in. He washed the car with almost reverent care, sometimes humming tunes she didn't recognize. When he was done, he'd sit on the steps, telling her about the pigeons on his balcony, or how he once found a coin that looked like gold. Clara pretended to scold him for coming uninvited, but secretly, she began leaving out extra pancakes. One morning, as he polished the Ferrari's hood, he looked up and asked, Do you think rich people get lonely? The question hit her like a punch. What makes you ask that? He shrugged. You have everything. But sometimes you look like you're listening to something that isn't there. She froze, cloth in hand. Do I? He nodded. Like my mama when she talks to my dad. He's gone too. But she still leaves the light on for him. Clara swallowed hard. That's a kind thing to do. Yeah, Eli said, smiling faintly. Maybe he can see it. That evening after he left, Clara sat by the window, watching the street. The Ferrari glowed under the porch lights, perfect, untouched, and suddenly meaningless. For years, she had filled her house with objects meant to prove she was alive. Cars, awards, designer furniture. But now, they all felt like shadows compared to the small boy who saw wings in metal. She opened a drawer and found an old photo, herself at 10, sitting beside her father's broken-down truck, holding a wrench twice her size. He used to call her his little mechanic. She hadn't thought of that in decades. One morning, Eli didn't come. Clara waited by the gate, pacing. Noon came, then afternoon. She drove down the hill to the diner he had mentioned, a little place with flickering neon letters, Sunrise Cafe. Inside, the waitress looked tired, her blonde hair pulled into a messy bun. When Clara asked about Eli, the woman frowned. You mean Maria's boy? Yes. Is she here? The waitress hesitated. Honey, Maria passed away last week. Clara froze. What? Car accident on the 405. I'm sorry. Her voice turned distant, like it came from underwater. And Eli? Where is he? The waitress sighed. Child services took him. He doesn't have family here. The world blurred. The hum of the diner, the smell of coffee, the clatter of plates, all of it collapsed into a hollow silence. Clara stumbled out into the sunlight, gripping the steering wheel until her knuckles went white. The road shimmered in the heat, endless and cruel. Days passed. The Ferrari sat untouched, dust settling over its surface. The drawing, the bird of fire, hung on her fridge, wrinkled and bright, like a window into another world. She made calls. Dozens. She visited offices, filled out forms, waited in gray rooms where time seemed to stop. No one could tell her exactly where Eli was, only that he'd been moved for his protection. A phrase that sounded like exile. Weeks turned into months. Still no sign of him. And then, one foggy morning, she woke to find a small shape on her doorstep. A box. Inside it, wrapped in brown paper, was a toy car, red, with tiny silver wings glued to its sides. No note. Just the car. Clara's hands trembled as she held it. She looked up and down the empty street, heart pounding. The fog swallowed everything, silent as a secret. That evening, she drove the Ferrari to the hilltop where she had first seen Eli. The city stretched below her like a sea of light, endless and alive. She parked, turned off the engine, and let the quiet settle. She reached into the glove compartment and pulled out the little toy car. The wings caught the faint glow of the streetlights. I found you, she whispered. For the first time in years, tears came easily, not of regret, but of release. She placed the toy on the dashboard, next to the drawing he'd made, and closed her eyes. In the months that followed, something changed in her. She sold 2 of her cars, then her villa in Palm Springs. She started visiting the diner, leaving envelopes for the staff, anonymous donations marked for Maria's family. And every Sunday morning, she drove her Ferrari through the poorer districts of the city, parking quietly near playgrounds, handing out boxes of pancakes and small red toy cars. People started calling her the lady with the bird car. She never corrected them. One morning, as she was packing toys into the trunk, she heard a voice behind her. Hey, nice car. She turned. A boy stood on the sidewalk, maybe 11 now, taller, hair a bit longer, but the eyes were unmistakable. Eli, she whispered. He grinned. You still got the bird. She couldn't move. The world tilted. Where? How? I ran away, he said simply. They put me in a house, but it wasn't home. Her eyes filled again. You can't just. I didn't come to stay, he said quickly. Just to say thank you. For what? For seeing me, he said. Nobody ever did before. She stepped forward, afraid he'd vanish if she blinked. Eli, you don't have to go. We can. He shook his head. I'm okay now. Mama says you have to let birds fly. She froze. Your mama? He smiled softly. Sometimes I hear her in my dreams. She says the light finds us if we look up. And then, before she could speak again, he turned and walked away down the hill. The sun broke through the clouds, lighting the street in gold. His small figure blurred into the brightness until he was gone. Clara stood there, the Ferrari gleaming beside her, wings reflected in its polished surface. For the first time, she understood what Eli had seen all along. The car wasn't just red. It was alive, like fire, like memory, like love that refuses to fade. Every morning, the neighbors see her polishing the Ferrari, the same way Eli once did, carefully, reverently. They don't know the story. They only see a woman smiling softly to herself, whispering something no one else can hear. If they listen closely, they might notice the drawing on her dashboard, the bird of fire, still bright, still flying. And sometimes, when the sunlight hits the hood just right, it looks like the car really does have wings. Which part of this story touched you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our next emotional stories.